Christmas Eve, a night of magic. The world was silent, blanketed in a fresh layer of snow that shimmered under the moonlight. Chimneys puffed lazy trails of smoke, carrying the scent of burning wood and the promise of warmth. Inside, families gathered around brightly decorated trees. Children, their eyes wide with anticipation, hung their stockings with care. A thick blanket of snow covered everything, muffling the sounds of the world and transforming the familiar into something magical. Footprints dotted the snow, evidence of excited children building snowmen and having snowball fights. Billy's breath formed clouds in the frosty air as he watched his dad shovel the walkway. He bundled up in his warmest coat and hat, eager to join his friends in the snow. The aroma of freshly baked cookies filled the house, mingling with the scent of pine needles and cinnamon. Billy closed his eyes, taking a deep breath, letting the scent transport him to a place of pure joy. His dad came back inside, stomping the snow off his boots.
"It's a beautiful night," he said, his voice booming through the house. "A perfect night for Santa Claus."
He winked at Billy, who grinned back, his heart pounding with anticipation. They gathered around the Christmas tree, the twinkling lights reflecting in their eyes. Billy's mom put on some Christmas music, and they sang along to their favorite carols. As the night wore on, Billy's excitement grew. He could barely contain his anticipation. Finally, it was time for bed. Billy's parents tucked him in, kissing him goodnight and reminding him to be good for Santa.
"Don't worry," he whispered, his eyes already drifting closed.
Hours ticked by like the soft ticking of a grandfather clock. The house grew quiet, the only sound the gentle crackle of the fire. Billy slept soundly, dreaming of sugar plums. Outside, the snow continued to fall. Santa had arrived. He landed his sleigh on the roof. With a twinkle in his eye, Santa slid down the chimney. He placed presents under the tree. He reached for the plate, but it was bare.
The empty plate. Ho, ho, ho. What's this?
Santa blinked, his bushy eyebrows furrowing in confusion. He peered at the plate again, as if willing the cookies to magically reappear. But there was no mistaking it. The cookies were gone, and the glass of milk, usually filled to the brim, was empty as well.
Ho, ho, ho. What's this?
Santa muttered to himself, his voice a low rumble of disbelief. He circled the plate, inspecting it from every angle. Not a single crumb remained. Even the glass of milk had vanished, leaving no trace behind. Santa was baffled. He had been traveling all night, delivering presents to good little boys and girls all over the world. He was exhausted and famished, and the thought of Mrs. Claus's cookies had kept him going. Now his hopes of a midnight snack were dashed. Santa scratched his beard, his mind racing. The sound of Santa's surprised ho 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 echoed through the house, rousing Billy from his sleep. He sat up in bed, his heart pounding with a mixture of excitement and confusion. Santa was here, but why did he sound so surprised? Curiosity got the better of him, and Billy crept out of bed. He tiptoed to the top of the stairs, peering down into the living room below. He saw Santa standing by the fireplace, his back to the staircase. He seemed to be talking to himself, his voice a low grumble. Intrigued, Billy crept down the stairs, his bare feet silent on the carpeted steps. He hid behind the doorframe, listening intently to Santa's muffled words.
This simply won't do. A jolly old elf needs his fuel, especially on a night like this. Santa, what's wrong?
Santa spun around, his eyes widening as he saw Billy standing in his pajamas, his face a mixture of sleepiness and concern. A wide smile spread across Santa's face, erasing any trace of his previous disappointment.
Well, hello there, Billy. Merry Christmas. I didn't wake you, did I? What happened to your cookies, Santa? Did you already eat them? That's just it, Billy. The cookies, they've gone missing. And the milk, too.
Billy's eyes widened in disbelief. Missing? Who would steal Santa's cookies? It was a mystery, and Billy, fueled by a Christmas spirit of adventure and a desire to help Santa, knew he had to solve it.
Don't worry, Santa. I'll find out who took your cookies. Well, now, aren't you the brave one? A regular little detective. All right then, Billy. Let's see what you can find.
Billy, feeling important with his new mission, puffed out his chest and surveyed the scene. He spotted a single red sparkle on the carpet. Could it be glitter?
The elf is a mischievous one, that's for sure. Billy, Santa, I think I have a clue. Glitter.
Billy, his imagination running wild, pictured the elf, small and nimble, sneaking down from the shelf where he usually perched, his eyes on the prize Santa's cookies. Billy, we need to find that elf, Santa.
Hold on, young detective. Let's not jump to conclusions. We need to investigate further.
Santa, with his years of experience navigating chimneys and delivering presents, knew a thing or two about thorough investigation. He pulled out a magnifying glass from his sack, a special Christmas edition, with a red handle and a tiny jingle bell attached. Together, Santa and Billy examined the empty plate and glass. They looked for fingerprints, crumbs, or any other clues that might lead them to the cookie culprit. But the plate was clean, wiped spotless, as if the thief had planned their heist meticulously.
Whoever took those cookies was very careful. There's not a single crumb left behind.
Billy, not discouraged, decided to widen their search. He remembered his dad mentioning that reindeer loved carrots. Could they have developed a taste for cookies too? It was Christmas Eve, after all, a time for miracles and unusual cravings. Billy, Santa, what about the reindeer? Maybe they smelled the cookies and, well, you know.
The reindeer? Oh, Billy, those silly reindeer are all tuckered out from our journey. They wouldn't even think of touching my cookies. Take a look for yourself.
Billy peeked through the frosted window pane. Outside, the reindeer were sleeping peacefully, their breath forming clouds of frost in the cold air. They looked innocent enough, their large brown eyes closed, their bodies still except for the occasional twitch of an ear or a flick of a tail.
Elf on the shelf? And in the kitchen?
Billy sighed, his shoulders slumping slightly. The reindeer seemed to be out of the question. But if it wasn't them, and it wasn't the elf, then who could it be?
Billy, what are you thinking?
He scanned the living room again, his eyes falling on the doorway leading to the kitchen.
What about the kitchen, Billy?
Santa! Billy said, his voice regaining a hint of excitement. What about the kitchen? Maybe the cookie thief is hiding in there.
Santa smiled, impressed by Billy's persistence. Lead the way, Detective Billy, he said, following Billy towards the kitchen. Let's see what we can find.
The kitchen was dark, the only light coming from the refrigerator, its door ajar, casting an eerie glow across the room. Billy's heart pounded in his chest. He felt a shiver run down his spine. This was getting serious. They were closing in on the cookie culprit.
Well, 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 he chuckled, his voice a low rumble. It seems someone else had a midnight snack.
Billy, his small hand tightly clasped in Santa's large, gloved one, cautiously entered the kitchen. They moved silently, their shadows dancing on the wall, elongated and distorted in the dim light. The refrigerator hummed softly, a lone sentinel in the quiet house.
Santa, ever vigilant, scanned the room, his eyes missing nothing. He noticed a half-eaten carrot on the counter, discarded carelessly beside a plate of freshly baked gingerbread men. A mischievous twinkle sparkled in his eye. Well, 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 he chuckled, his voice a low rumble. It seems someone else had a midnight snack.
Billy followed Santa's gaze and gasped.
The gingerbread men, he exclaimed, his eyes widening in alarm. They're missing a bite! He pointed at a gingerbread man with a chunk missing from its head, its icing smile now lopsided.
Santa chuckled, patting Billy's head reassuringly.
Don't you worry, Billy, he said, his voice warm and comforting. It seems our cookie thief has a taste for carrots and gingerbread men, but rest assured, we'll get to the bottom of this.
Billy, emboldened by Santa's confidence, felt a surge of determination. He wouldn't rest until they found the cookie culprit. He examined the half-eaten carrot, noticing tiny teeth marks that could only belong to a small creature.
Santa? Billy asked, his brow furrowed in thought. Do you think it could be a mouse? He had heard stories of mice stealing cheese and cookies, their tiny noses twitching as they scurried through the walls. Could a mouse be the culprit behind the missing cookies?
Santa considered this, stroking his beard thoughtfully.
A mouse, you say? He mused. It's possible, Billy, but I haven't seen any signs of mice in this house. Mrs. Claus keeps a very tidy ship, you know, and she wouldn't stand for any uninvited guests, especially not those with a penchant for baked goods.
Santa's words sparked a new thought in Billy's mind. If it wasn't a mouse, then what about...
Welcome to 2015.
His eyes widened as he remembered the neighbor's mischievous cat, Whiskers, a fluffy feline known for his love of sneaking into houses and causing trouble.
Santa, I know who it might be, Billy exclaimed, his voice filled with excitement. Whiskers! He lives next door and he's always getting into mischief. Remember that time he snuck into our house and stole a whole roast chicken off the kitchen counter?
Santa chuckled, remembering the incident well.
Ah yes, Whiskers, he said, shaking his head. A cat after my own heart. Always up for an adventure, that one. But I must say, stealing an entire roast chicken is quite a feat, even for a seasoned mischief maker like Whiskers.
Billy raced to the window, peering through the frosted glass toward the neighbor's house. He could just make out a shadowy figure moving behind the curtains. Could it be Whiskers, his belly full of stolen cookies, watching their every move?
I think I see him, Santa, Billy whispered, his breath fogging up the glass. He's in the window.
Santa joined Billy at the window, his keen eyes scanning the neighbor's house. He could indeed see the outline of a cat, its silhouette illuminated by the faint glow of a nightlight. But something didn't feel quite right.
Santa murmured, his brow furrowed in thought. It does look like Whiskers, but I'm not so sure. There's something off about this whole situation.
Santa's words gave Billy pause. Could there be more to the missing cookies than met the eye? They had already considered the elf, the reindeer, a possible mouse, and now Whiskers the cat. But none of them seemed to fit the bill entirely. The mystery was deepening, and Billy felt a thrill of excitement mixed with a touch of apprehension. He had a feeling they were overlooking something, a crucial piece of the puzzle that would unlock the truth behind the missing cookies. Santa, ever the wise and observant one, noticed the perplexed look on Billy's face. He placed a reassuring hand on Billy's shoulder, his eyes twinkling with understanding.
Don't worry, Billy, Santa said, his voice calm and soothing. Every good mystery has its twists and turns. We just need to follow the clues, no matter where they lead us.
Santa's words sparked a renewed sense of determination in Billy. He was determined to help Santa find his missing cookies and save Christmas Eve. He knew deep down that the answer was out there, somewhere in the quiet house, hidden in plain sight. They just needed to look closer, to think outside the box, to consider every possibility, no matter how improbable it seemed. The mystery of the missing cookies was far from over. In fact, it was only just beginning. A comfortable silence settled in the kitchen, broken only by the soft hum of the refrigerator. Billy, determined to find the missing cookies, scanned every nook and cranny, his young eyes missing nothing. He crouched down, peering under the table, his small fingers tracing the intricate patterns on the tablecloth. Suddenly, something glinted under the soft glow of the kitchen light. It was a tiny white object, barely visible against the dark wood of the table leg. Billy, his heart pounding with a mixture of excitement and anticipation, carefully reached out and picked it up. It was a cat whisker, thin and delicate, as white as the freshly fallen snow outside. Billy turned the whisker over in his fingers, his mind racing. It couldn't be. Could it? He remembered the cat silhouette in the neighbor's window, the half-eaten carrot, and suddenly, it all clicked. "Santa," Billy whispered, his voice barely audible above the gentle hum of the refrigerator. "I think I know who stole your cookies."
Well, young detective, what have you found?
Santa, sensing the shift in Billy's demeanor, crouched down beside him, his eyes twinkling with curiosity. Billy, holding up the tiny white whisker, explained his theory. He pointed to the half-eaten carrot, the teeth marks too small for a large dog, the crumbs leading towards a small, hidden corner behind the pantry door. It wasn't Whiskers, the neighbor's cat, who had stolen the cookies. Following the trail of crumbs, they found paw prints, small and delicate, leading towards a cozy corner behind the pantry door. A small, furry form lay curled up in a basket, fast asleep.
Well, I'll be a reindeer's uncle. It seems we have a tiny culprit with a big appetite. It seems Mrs. Claus has a soft spot for strays. Curled up in the basket, its belly round and full, lay a tiny kitten, its soft white fur dusted with cookie crumbs. The empty glass of milk lay on its side, a single drop of milk clinging to the rim. The kitten, oblivious to the commotion it had caused, slept soundly, its tiny paws twitching as if chasing dream cookies. Billy gasped, his hand flying to his mouth to stifle a giggle. He had never considered the possibility of a kitten, but of course, it made perfect sense now. The tiny teeth marks on the carrot, the delicate paw prints, the white whisker, it all added up.
"It's a kitten, Santa," Billy whispered, his eyes wide with wonder. "A little white kitten!"
It seems Mrs. Claus has a soft spot for strays. This little one must have snuck in when we weren't looking.
Billy, his heart melting at the sight of the sleeping kitten, knew they had to act fast. Santa had a busy night ahead of him, delivering presents to children all over the world. He couldn't leave on an empty stomach, especially not after this unexpected turn of events.
We need to bake more cookies, Santa.
Billy exclaimed, his voice filled with urgency.
Lots and lots of cookies.
Santa, touched by Billy's enthusiasm and quick thinking, smiled down at him.
You're right, Billy, but we need to be quick. My sleigh will be ready to depart soon.
Billy, feeling a surge of responsibility, grabbed Santa's hand and pulled him towards the kitchen.
Don't worry, Santa, my mom's the best baker in the world. We'll have a fresh batch of cookies ready in no time.
The kitchen, usually filled with the comforting aromas of baking and spices, was transformed into a flurry of activity. Billy, his small hands working with surprising speed and dexterity, helped gather the ingredients while Santa, his laughter echoing through the house, retrieved bowls and spoons, his large frame navigating the small space with unexpected grace. Billy's mom, awakened by the commotion, couldn't help but smile at the sight of her son and Santa Claus baking cookies together. She joined in, her laughter blending with theirs as they worked side by side, their shared love of Christmas and the spirit of giving uniting them in a way that transcended age and tradition. The aroma of freshly baked cookies soon filled the house, a warm and inviting scent that signaled the magic of Christmas. Santa, his belly full of warm milk and freshly baked cookies, gave Billy a knowing wink. Christmas was saved thanks to a little detective work, a big heart, and a whole lot of Christmas spirit. With a twinkle in his eye and a belly full of cookies, Santa Claus patted his round belly, satisfied.
Billy, my boy, you've saved Christmas!
Billy blushed, his heart swelling with pride. Billy's eyes widened in surprise as he accepted the gift. He couldn't believe it. "Wow," Billy breathed, his eyes sparkling with delight. He had always wanted a compass, a tool for adventure. And this one, a gift from Santa himself, was even more special.
It's for finding your way, not just on maps, but in life. Always follow your heart, Billy, and you'll never be lost.
As the first rays of dawn peeked through the windows, painting the snow-covered landscape, Santa Claus, with a final wave and a hearty Merry Christmas to all, disappeared up the chimney.